Watch an old man cross a room. You don't check his face. You don't count the gray. Something older than thought inside you reads one thing: his walk. The stride that no longer reaches. The hips that have stopped swinging. The weight that shuffles instead of flowing. And in under a second, without a word, you file him. Old. Now here is what almost no one knows. That walk was not built by years. It was built by air. Specifically, by air he never let go of. Breath after breath, decade after decade, stopping the exhale halfway and leaving the rest behind. And there is a single breathing expulsion, one forced exhale that begins to undo it. One. Done correctly, once, and the body that shuffled in can walk out moving as if a decade were handed back. Scientists can measure every piece of this. What they cannot cleanly explain is why one full expulsion moves the needle as fast as it does. Stay with me. By the end of this, you'll have done it yourself. Before the mechanism, 3 things you were never told. 1. The muscle that decides how young you walk is not in your legs. It's buried behind your gut, and you have almost certainly never consciously touched it. 2. The reason your stride shortened has almost nothing to do with tight hamstrings, weak glutes, or getting stiff with age, and everything to do with a muscle of breathing that quietly stopped moving through its full range. 3. 23 centuries ago, a text most historians file under philosophy gave the exact instruction: expel the old breath, then move, and paired it, in the same sentence, with the postures of men who were said to age slower than everyone around them. 3 loops. We close all 3. Here's why you never heard it. Modern breathing advice is obsessed with the inhale. Breathe in deeper, fill the lungs, take in more oxygen. Every app, every coach, every poster, inhale. But your lungs were never empty to begin with. Even after a normal breath out, a large volume of stale air stays parked inside, the air you never expel. And the muscle that's supposed to push it out, the diaphragm, the great dome under your lungs, quietly gives up its full range. It stops rising all the way. It lives high and tight and short. Nobody sells you the exhale because there's nothing to sell. You can't bottle an expulsion. So the single most consequential half of the breath, the half the ancients built an entire practice around, got left out of the modern story completely. That omission is aging the way you move. Here's the machine. Follow the anatomy. This is the part scientists don't dispute. Your diaphragm doesn't float freely. Its deepest fibers, the crura, anchored directly onto the front of your lumbar spine. Now meet the muscle from loop 1, the psoas, the deep hip flexor. It runs from that same lumbar spine down through the pelvis to the top of your thigh. Diaphragm above, psoas below, and they don't just live near each other. They share connective tissue. A band of fascia arches straight over the psoas and blends into the diaphragm's own attachment. One structure breathes, one structure walks. They are wired to the same anchor. Here's the failure. When the diaphragm stops fully exhaling, it settles high and shortened, permanently a little pulled up. Through that shared fascia, it transmits a constant, low, upward and forward tension into the psoas. The psoas responds the only way a muscle can to chronic tension. It shortens too. And a short psoas has a signature you can spot across a car park. It tips the pelvis forward. It flexes the hip that should be extending. And it will not let the legs swing fully behind you. That blocked hip extension is the shortened stride. The shortened stride is the walk your eye reads as old. So the old man's walk was never really about the legs. It was a breathing muscle, stuck at the top of an unfinished exhale, quietly reaching down and holding your hip closed, which tells you exactly how to open it. Reset the diaphragm. Push past the point where you normally stop. Force the stale air all the way out. Let the dome fully rise, and the downward pull on the psoas releases. The hip is allowed to extend again. The stride lengthens, not through stretching, through emptying. Now here is the part that should raise the hair on your arms. This is not new. In the Zhuangzi, a Chinese text from the 4th century before Christ, there is a line describing a particular kind of long-lived practitioner. Translated, it reads, "Blowing and breathing, exhaling and inhaling, expelling the old and drawing in the new." Expel the old, draw in the new, in that order. The exhale first. And the very same sentence names what they did with the breath. Shongjing Jioshen, the bear hang and the bird stretch. Forced expulsion, paired with movement, filed under longevity. 23 centuries before anyone had a word for the psoas, or a scan of the diaphragm, the instruction was already written down. They didn't know the fascia. They knew the result. Empty the old breath, and the body moves young. That's loop 3, closed. The philosophy text was an anatomy manual all along. Modern people only kept the inhale. So let's do the thing the moderns forgot. You don't need the floor. You don't need to change clothes, book a class, or be flexible. If you can sit upright and breathe, you qualify. And you can do this in the next 60 seconds, right where you are. One condition, said plainly. A forced exhale raises pressure in the chest for a moment. If you're pregnant, have uncontrolled blood pressure, glaucoma, a hernia, or any condition where your doctor has told you to avoid straining or bearing down, you watch this one, you don't perform it. Everyone else, sit tall. Here's the single expulsion. Read it once, then do it. Sit upright, feet flat, let your shoulders drop. Breathe in through your nose, normally, not a huge gulp, about 60%. Now the part that matters. Exhale through gently pursed lips, and do not stop where you normally stop. Keep going, past the point that feels finished. Draw your lower ribs down and in, pull your navel gently back toward your spine, and squeeze the very last of the air out, the stale air you've been carrying for years. At the very bottom, empty, ribs down. Pause. 1 second. Feel the dome of your diaphragm float fully upward for the first time in a long time. Then release everything and let the next breath fall in on its own. Don't pull it. Let it arrive. That drop you felt at the bottom, that quiet space low in your back and your hips, that's the psoas being handed slack it hasn't had in years. Do that expulsion 3 more times, slowly. Then stand and take a few steps. Notice the legs swinging a little further behind you. That's not suggestion. That's hip extension, returned. Here's the honest timeline. Day 1, what you just felt. A single walk that's looser, longer, freer. It fades within the hour, because the pattern of a lifetime doesn't surrender to one breath. But you proved the hinge moves. Day 7, 1 round, morning and evening, 10 expulsions total a day. The diaphragm starts to default lower. The stride change stops vanishing by lunch. People who see you daily won't know why you look different. They'll just say you seem lighter on your feet. Day 30. This is where it earns the thumbnail. A diaphragm that resets to its full range, day after day, stops feeding tension into the psoas at all. The forward pelvic tilt eases. The hips carry you instead of bracing against you. The walk that read as old, the one strangers filed in a second, reads younger. From one breathing expulsion, done daily, that the modern world forgot, and a 23-century-old text never did. Do the expulsion right now, before this ends, and tell me one thing in the comments. At the very bottom of that forced exhale, where did you feel the release? Low back? Front of the hip? Somewhere you didn't expect? Type the word empty and where you felt it. I read these, and the pattern of where people feel it is its own map. If a muscle you've never consciously touched has been quietly deciding how old you walk, that's exactly what this channel decodes. Subscribe